Good afternoon, everybody. Keith here. We're going to wait again, see if we can get some people on. Give people a chance to come see what's going on. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Doing what you can to live. Hey, how you doing, Andy? We're going to wait a few minutes, see if we can get some people on. Can you hear me? Oh, Christopher. Hoping everybody can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Bill? Andy? Awesome. I'm going to see if I can get you up here, Andy. I always appreciate you helping out here. I don't see anything for your invite, though. How you doing, Steve? Let me see here. If I screw this up, I'll be right back. Here we go. See if I can get you invited here, Andy. All right. I've got an invite sent to you. See if that works. Looks like I got Andy coming on. How's everybody doing today? Like I said, I hope everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Still don't have you up there, Andy. Charlie, Dean, how's everybody doing? As you saw by the title, oh, okay, well, see if you can, well, here, let me try this. There we go. Julian, how you doing? Mia, I don't know how we pronounce that, but I'll call it Maya for now. As you saw by the title on the post, Imagination Nation Indoctrination Association Relation. And the first thing I want to talk about today, we're going to cover a couple good subjects. In my belief, anybody that believes they are of a particular nation, then the imagination has got you indoctrinated into the association by relation of the nation. In other words, if you believe that you're an American national, then you abide by the American Association. And if you think that you're abiding by the common law by professing that you're an American national, I think you've been misled. I think you've been indoctrinated. Common law is common law, and that means it's common amongst the entire world, not just a particular nation. So comprehend that. It's a very simple statement. The next thing I want to talk about is that association, the administration of the association. And basically what we're talking about here is the process that we're talking about today, and that is the common law process. Common law process Andy's still not up. Let me see if I can get him up here. I'm going to approve and try again. But anyway, like I said, if you believe in the common law, and yet you're professing that you're of a particular nation, then you're not abiding by the common law. I don't know if it's going to add. There he is. There's my brother, Andy. How you doing, brother? So anyway, if you're thinking about processing your paperwork by buying through the common law, we have to understand that that association of the common law is worldwide and not set to just one nation.
A nation state.
So
the state of the nation. This is this perpetual state that the nation hands out the ration to keep man in that perpetual state. This is how it is. It's all within the verbiage. I love how you've headed there tonight, Show Keith. Blessed brave brother. It's excellent.
Exactly. And so when we think about that association, we got to remember if we're associating with that nation, then that means you're related to it. It's relative. And that means you have to abide by those relative rules, codes, statutes, and regulations. Again, though, if I've explained it correctly, if you're following the common law is worldwide.
Absolutely.
And that is the law of nature, natural law. Now, in that natural law, the way we see how it works today, that common law works by administrative process.
Exactly that. With the assumption and presumption that comes with it.
Right. And when you talk about administration,
absolutely,
we're talking about your own administration. When these courts and these other entities bring these so-called charges against you, they are providing they are following their own administrative process, which of course is the same.
That they are administrating your estate under subrogation. They are acting as the executioner, the executor, or the executor of the estate under subjugation. They are subrogating man out of their estate. This is what's happening here.
Correct. And so what we have to do is we have to take over that administrative process. Now, the administrative process starts out with an affidavit. Affidavit, summary judgment. And when they do that, and we don't rebut it appropriately, that's where they start railroading us. When we start following that administrative process appropriately by rebutting their charges based on the foundation that there is no affidavit provided. They are only providing statements of facts. They are not providing an affidavit which has factual statements. It is just a statement of fact. That is called a complaint. And when we do this administrative process, the way to beat them, the way to defeat them is by using that exact process, the way it's supposed to work, using it against them. And that again is that affidavit with a summary judgment. When you give them 21 days to rebut that and they do not respond, you write that exact same affidavit again. And this time, instead of a summary judgment, you put a notice of default and cure. Then you give them 10 days. When they fail to rebut that in that 10 days, they have now exhausted the administrative process themselves. And you give them one more affidavit. Well, they have exhausted their end. You haven't exhausted your end, but they've exhausted their end because they have now defaulted. Now you give them the third affidavit again, exact same affidavit, only this time you give them an affidavit with notice of intent.
Letter before claim. Man makes claim, only persons complain.
Correct. And so now you've given them 31 days, and then on the third affidavit, you give them 3 days. 3 days.
That's right.
You don't have to give them any more anymore. You've done exhausted your administrative process now. Again, they're not going to respond because they cannot. If you've done your affidavits correctly, they cannot respond because they still have not submitted a correct affidavit
Absolutely.
first. First in line, first in
That's the
time.
maxim of the equity right there. First
So
in line, first in time.
now we have,
And of course, as we know, the corporation can't enact jack shit. So
exactly,
if you acquiesce to their assumption and presumption, which is accept it through silence, well, then you're going to have everything thrown at you. But like you say, Brother Keith, if you rebut to their assumption and presumption of who and what and where they think you are of this realm, well, then you can stop any claim made against you because they are assuming that you are a 2D fiction.
correct. And so now that we've exhausted our administrative remedy, now we finalize it by putting in our judgment. We file our judgment, and we do that in the proper court now, because all these affidavits, you can go ahead and file into their court. You're filing them as affidavits. You're sending them certified copies of your affidavits. Now, once they've exhausted their administrative remedy and you've exhausted yours, now you have your judgment.
Absolutely.
Now you have to file that judgment. That judgment is your claim. You've already stated all the facts on the record.
Acquiescence. Absolutely.
Again, if you've done it right,
they've acquiesced and tacitly agreed to you, they haven't rebutted anything that you've done. Well, that's your judgment right there.
Correct. And when we're talking administration, we're talking about commerce. And so when you do these affidavits, make sure you file that fee schedule,
Falling on the
letting
record.
them know what your fees are, so that when you file that judgment, that schedule fee
Absolutely.
becomes your remedy. That's your remedy.
Unfair. You don't go asking for
Okay.
$20 million.
So,
and there's no good putting silly numbers on there and casting figures on it. It's got to be just right and proper. It's got to be fair to man. It's got to be fair to both sides. You know, it's people are getting this whole thing blown out the window, aren't they?
So you see these. Yeah, and you see all these fee schedules out there, and they've got set in the regulations certain amounts that you can file, and a lot of them are like 200,000, 250,000 per incident, per violation, per violator.
Mm-hmm.
So it can get outrageous, and they understand that. So when you make your actual final claim, make it a reasonable amount, so they're not going to come after you and just try to kill you like the Clintons, you know. And that's your basic administrative process. That's your remedy, is following the process. Now, the next subject I want to talk about, we're going to revert back to my first thing with the indoctrination and all that in the association. If you're confusing yourself as being a part of a nation and trying to follow common law, again, which is administrative process, then you're playing two different games.
Absolutely, you are.
You can't play Monopoly by following the rules of the games of Sorry or Parcheesi or Life or anything like that. You have to follow the rules of the game. And everything today is administrative process, because everything is commercial. That's why the UCC is so important. Understand that. That's your remedy. The administrative process of the Uniform Commercial Code. Notice of default, cure, and notice of judgment. So think about this stuff, people. And when you do your research, there's a lot of affidavits out there with a lot of good information on them, and the basics of them are pertaining to those particular cases. That's why when we try to use these case laws and everything, a lot of the stuff gets thrown out because it doesn't actually pertain to your particular case.
It's no good going to
do. So what
it's no good going to these places. It's no good going into these places and telling the cloth what man done last week, because you wasn't there. You don't have first-hand knowledge. You can refer to the case law, but that's separate to you. That's nothing to do with what you're doing today. What you have to do is bring the case and the suit for the law that we're speaking of today with first-hand knowledge, and that's where equity prevails there, right, in that manner. It's having the first-hand knowledge and being able to prove it.
Exactly. And that's what I've spoken on this a couple other times. You know, when we talk about the common law, and that's where people get confused, because common law used to be substantive, and that's where you could use the
Hmm.
case law from other cases because it was the subject matter in the case that was pertinent.
Hmm.
It's no longer such as that. Today, it's all administrative process, and the common law is the process,
Administrative process,
and that's pure and
mixed in with,
simple. It's the
it's
process that it's doing.
entrusted. We are entrusted to follow the process. And I mean entrusted through your person. Your person is there to benefit you as man. Man is here to set the law. We are settlers of, we have our own settlement. We are dwelt upon the land, we settle here. And within that trust relationship, within the CESTU KV 1666 trust relationship, the birth certificate, man in the trust relationship is the set law. We set the law. We know what comes, what goes. It's as simple as that. We let the people in and out of our gate of our estate. The birth certificate is a family estate. We hear the family estate spoken of. We never know where this family estate is. There it is. It's a 2D piece of stationery. That's what it is right there. And the set law, the man, is there to see to it that when we enact on the seas of commerce, that the person, which is the piece of paper, shall benefit, because the person is the beneficiary in the trust relationship. So man is the set law, here born for remedy unto the land, in accordance and in the image of the Creator, and to benefit from his person, which they have set up in this quasi-trust. You don't have to know you're in a trust to be in a trust. It's a maxim of the law. And once you can get the relationship straightened out, the position that we behold within that, the set law can set the law for the beneficiary, leaving only the trustee position open for those authoritarians that then can come and grasp it. If you're going down that realm of the law, if you're going to hold them to what they are, if they have fiduciary capacities or whatever the case may be, all this administrative hearing stuff, it all comes back basically to that trust scenario. Your bonded person. There always is that bank bond. It's a banking bond. It's always open for those individuals to put their dirty fingers into. And man has to come along and say, no, 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 no. I haven't permissioned you. I haven't granted you or permitted you to put your dirty fingers into my pot. Bring forth the authority, bring forth the jurisdiction of the law, which states that you can step over my head and do this.
Correct. Correct. And that's what I'm talking about when we talk about the rules of the game. The rules of the game are always going to be the same. So you cannot use rules of a different game. You cannot use your own rules. You can't use your neighbor's rules. You can't use case law rules. You have to use the rules of the game. And today that game is administrative process. That's your common law. That's worldwide, people. Common law, administrative process. Today in America, we have these things that they call ALJs. And I had somebody question, well, what's an ALJ? Well, an ALJ and they call them an administrative law judge. Now, first of all, we have the word administrative. That
Hello.
tells you that it's administrative. Okay? It's not law.
It's the
He's
force
not a
of law.
judge.
It's the rule of law. This is what it is, jurisprudence. And when you realize that jurisprudence is a theory, they are dealing the theory of law, the human, the color of man is getting dealt with the color of law. They revert back to Black's Law dictionaries and these types of things. It's all the color of law for the color of man. If you don't know thyself, then the color of law shall be cast against you, and you shall pay through fine and forfeiture.
Correct. And
Absolutely, you
basically, it's
better
a
believe it.
religion.
Your birth certificate
Like
alone,
Andy was saying,
your birth certificate is a
the
religion.
state is a
I
religion.
don't care if you're a Sikh, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Hindustani, if you're a Jew, or whatever you are. If you hold a birth certificate, it's Roman Catholic. It's as simple as that. Whatever your faith is, what your belief is, what your religion
Yep.
is, that's completely up to you. God loves a trier. But at the end of the day, you're the Roman Empire, which we are led to believe is a thing of his story, is prevalent and live to this very day. And they have man enslaved. And they are not enslaved with chains, they are enslaved with debt. They are carrying round burdens of fictional debt with nothing, no intrinsic value, nothing backing this currency except for our sweat equity and belief system. And when man realizes that the belief, the indoctrinated belligerence that they come forward with to man is 180 to what really is, there is no money, there is no value, there is no intrinsic backing of any substance of this realm, then man can realize that he can discharge these things with the power of the pen. And then you better keep back your sweat equity and maybe take your kids on holiday for once.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next thing I want to talk about, we're going to finish up here. I don't want to make it too long today, but in regards to information and research, again, we're going to go back to the administration. You're your own administrator no matter what you do in life, no matter what anybody else tells you. It's your choices in life that administrate your actions. You are the one. You can't come onto my post or anybody else's post and gather information and automatically assume you're going to be able to go into court and use it. Because like I said, if you don't know the rules of the game,
exactly,
then how are you going to play? So when it comes to your research and stuff, that's why it's called research. I've already searched it myself, and that was my research on somebody else's searches. And so you have to do your own research. You can't just grab the information I got and then run with it.
You can do your own amount of due diligence and research, or you can have a member of the bar come and represent your person. So I don't promote the latter. It's up to man to come with with an open heart and an open mind and self-belief and conviction within yourself that anything is possible. This is possible. I mean, here in England, I'm just thick in the arm, thick in the head lorry driver, you know. But when man took the license from me a couple of years back, I had a stroke. So I've had to sit down and think about other ways. And when you got bailiffs coming to the door and other things coming to press you for money, you start to learn how to do it correctly rather than going out there and giving them a piece of high five. So these things come out, the light comes out of darkness, doesn't it, at the end of the day? And that they are trying to perpetually hold man in the dark through the fears of enslavement to debt. So they're going to lose the house, they're going to lose the car, they're going to lose their job, they're going to lose their family, and they're going to lose their regular weekly lifestyle income, whatever the case may be. And as long as they can hold man under that level of fear, they know that they will do what it takes to either step up to the plate and keep working their nuts off, or man's going to go and take the rope and hang himself due to the pressure of it all. And this is a perpetual state that's been rolled out just now in accordance to 21 and 30. So if man can come back and know whom he is and gain the correct capacity, the correct status, which we would call the standing, you have the correct standing within the realm, then no one can rebut your arse. It's as simple as that, my brothers and sisters.
Correct. And remember, people, when we go into these courts, that piece of paper they're holding up saying, well, I got the proof right here. Absolutely. It has no standing. You drop that sucker and it's going to fall, and it's going to fall flat on its face or flat on its back. It has no feet. It has no legs. You have to have 4 legs. Absolutely. 4 legs on a table for it to stand. Absolutely. And a man has to have 2 legs. You can bring and 2 legs to that table means another man with 2 legs on that table. That's man to man. 4 legs.
And that's
so think about that, people. So anyway, back to my comment about research.
When they say is your evidence watertight, that's what
that's what makes your evidence walk.
The seas of commerce, it's maritime and admiralty law, but nobody mentions these things. All these sayings become prevalent, and in your life as you move forward, you think, oh Lord, that's what that means. That's what that means. That's why my granddad used to say that. All these things come, they're not old wife tales and old wife sayings. This is real stuff, and it counts.
Yep. And so when it comes to your research and stuff, I put a lot of stuff out there, and my page is getting quite full, and it takes me a while to go digging back through my page to find stuff for people. And I've gotten a lot of people here lately that I don't know if they're just dense or what, but I'm having a hard time trying to keep up with my own life and get things done with my own stuff. So I'm
Hmm.
probably not going to post too much anymore, but I'll probably keep doing
Yes.
videos.